So I want to talk to you about failure because so many of you have been writing and asking about how do you deal with failure?
I'm afraid to fail.
I'm scared of failure.
I have such a fear of failure that it is holding me back.
So every one of these negative thoughts, by the way, all boil down to the same one, that I'm not good enough. Fear of failure is the same thing as feeling like you're not good enough, because what you're actually believing about yourself is that when the challenge rises, you're not good enough to meet it, that you're not good enough to try harder, that you're not good enough to try something, and oh my God, if I failed, my life would be over. Here's the crazy thing about the fear of failure, okay? The reason why most people fail is because they're afraid of failing. Your fear is making you do the thing you're most afraid of. You fail because you don't try. I mean, it's like crazy. I hope that this is hitting you like a punch in the gut, that it's actually the fear of failing that makes you feel like a failure. And the solution is really simple. You have to push through it, because you're never going to get what you want in life if you don't learn how to push yourself outside your comfort zone.
And you know, the major problem, I think, with failure is that way too many of you think that you're supposed to achieve your dreams. You're supposed to achieve your goals. And the truth is, what has always happened for me is that my dreams and goals that I set have always led me to something else that I wasn't even thinking about. They led me to something that I was destined and designed to discover.
None of which ever felt right, and none of those things were actually very successful. You know, I mean, ultimately, Monster-in-Laws was canceled. The show I shot with Fox never aired. That's not successful. What I learned in those projects led me to being able, when the moment came, to meet the moment. Discover what you're looking for when you're willing to hear what's in your heart, when you have the clarity to do that, and when you have the courage to pursue it. And it may not turn out how you like. It may not be the blockbuster that you thought it would. But when you listen to your heart and you keep moving forward, you get rewarded, and you also get the lessons that you need. You can't fail at your dreams because they're meant to be pursued, not achieved. You didn't fail at them. You've tried a bunch of different things that didn't work yet. That's it. And you gained experience. One of the things that I find really interesting is that when you have big dreams, sometimes the scariest moment is when you say them out loud. So what you're present to is not your dreams. You're present to failure. Like, part of the problem for you in really fully realizing and expressing what you want is that the second that you say you want to change, you're present to it not happening. And that's a pattern that we have to break. If you put in the work, you can make your dreams happen. Dreams are personal, so are the obstacles. If you stay in a mindset where you're present to failure, every day is going to be about starting. And the obstacle that's in your way is the thinking pattern of being afraid of failure. It's also the fear of uncertainty that you're dealing with, the uncertainty of what happens if everything doesn't go according to plan. The thing is it never goes away. If you're about to do something for the first time, chances are high that you might embarrass yourself. But what it means is, if you're willing to be the kind of person that is willing to embarrass themselves, it means you're trying something new. It means you're going for it when everybody else sits on the sidelines. So before you give up, the only thing that matters is the work that you're putting in, not the end result. Anyone who is truly successful did one thing, and it's the same thing that we all do. They put in the work. Will you fail along the way? Of course. And you know what? I hope so. When you fail once, you double your chances of success. Failure doesn't make you give up. Failure happens when you give up. All I want you to ever do is try. I just want you to try. In those moments where you hear yourself, I want you to try. In those moments where you know that it's time to speak up, I want you to try. That's all that I ever ask of you, because if you simply do that, and I say simply as if it's so easy, right? You will literally unlock the potential of your life. Do it anyway is a mindset trick that you can use when you start to feel excuses rolling up. It works a lot like the 5-second rule. So you have said to yourself, okay, I'm going to talk to my boss today about that thing that I've been avoiding talking to them about. Or maybe you've said something like, I'm going to go to the gym today or tomorrow or whatever. And then the moment comes where you've got to have that conversation. Or the moment comes where it's time to pack up your bag and leave your desk and go to the gym. And what always happens? You don't feel like it. I bet there are plenty of you watching that have made a commitment that, I'm not going to have a drink tonight. And then guess what happens when you get home? You don't feel like not drinking. You feel like having a drink. And so here's what do it anyway has done for me. The idea that I just do it anyway has pushed me to realize and to recognize that there are a lot of moments where there are things in my life that I really want to do, I need to do, I should do, but when the moment comes, I don't feel like it. And so I pull out this idea of, you know what, I'm just going to do it anyway. It's raining outside. I said I would go for a short run. I don't feel like it. I'm going to do it anyway. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm tired. It's cold. I laid out my yoga clothes, but now I don't feel like it. What do? I do it anyway. When you start to say to yourself, I'm going to do it anyway, what happens is something really cool. You acknowledge that there are feelings that you have that are trying to swoop in and hijack you. You acknowledge them and you basically say, guess what? I'm going to do it anyway. Oakley is chomping at the bit that that we asked this question. What is the question?
All right. So
is it on topic?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
It's from Ben S. Snack. How can I make a huge life decision, such as a job change, move to another state? I want the job, but I'm scared.
Oh, I love that. So the question is, great question, Oakley, and great question, Ben S. Snack. So how do you make a big decision, right? So it's a decision that sounds like he's going to accept a new job, but it requires him to move to another state. And notice what he said. I want it, but I'm afraid. This is the perfect question for right now because you would actually use do it anyway. You see, the thing about the way to make decisions, this is my decision-making tool. I don't think we haven't covered it yet in this, but for those of you that have followed me for a while, you know that I have this decision-making tool. In fact, we talked about it in the journaling method. So you know in the journaling method, if you go back to videos 9, 10, and 11, and if you look at the journaling method that we talked to you about, and look, I want to tell you something. I'm not asking you to buy this. In fact, please don't buy the 5-second journal. We don't have any more in stock. They're sold out around the globe. We'll print more. Do not buy this. I'm not doing this training to ask you to buy anything. I'm showing you this because for those of you that don't have the journaling method in front of you, if you go to 5secondjournal.com, 5secondjournal.com, if you go to 5secondjournal.com, what you will find is a ton of free templates that will show you the journaling method for free. You don't ever have to buy that. I'm telling you not to buy it. I want to be very clear. The reason why we're doing these trainings is not to get you to buy something, okay? It's to help you learn how to reset your mind. So back to the question. The opening thing in the journal, do I have one that's open here? Because then I can, well, I'll just open this one. The opening thing in the journal is a fuel gauge that has you tune in, and this is going to get to decision making, that has you tune in to how you are feeling energy-wise every morning. And so let me show you what that looks like in case you haven't seen those videos yet. So you see this little fuel gauge right here. Oh, can you see it on Instagram, Oak? Am I holding it up?
Yeah, just like not that one. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, there you go. So that fuel gauge is a visual cue to have you tune into your energy and to assess whether or not you are depleted and empty about something and heavy, or the other extreme is energized, full, expanded, open to possibility. And the reason why I ask you to do that first thing in the morning to assess your mood, to assess your energy, to tune in, is because there's established research that says that your mood in your morning impacts your productivity and focus all day long. And so if you can boost your mood in the morning, it has a material impact on your focus and on your productivity all day. And so we use it in the morning in the journaling method that I've taught you in videos 9 through 11.
But when it comes to decisions, I want you to do the exact same thing. I get that you're scared. It's a change. I would be kind of surprised if you weren't a little nervous about doing something awesome, like moving to a new state and starting a new job and all the possibilities that come in with it. So if you're trying to make a decision, do I do this thing that's scary or not? What you do is tune inward and really assess, how do you feel about it? When you think about yourself living in this new place and having this new job and all the possibility and growth that comes with it, do you feel dead and depleted and stuck? Or do you feel energized and alive and full of possibility? You see, if the decision is something that will expand your future, that will create possibility, that will make you grow, then it is 1,000% something that you must do. And you must do it even though you're afraid. And the fear is a very normal thing. And the fear is there because you're about to do something new. But do not use the fear to talk yourself out of making a decision that actually is grounded in growth and possibility and energizing you. So that's how I make decisions, using the stuff that you're learning in the Mindset Reset. And again, you can go back to the journaling method on videos 9, 10, and 11. But if you have a big decision to make and you notice that you're afraid, or you notice that you're stuck up here, go in and ask yourself, does the decision deplete me, make me stuck, make me feel dead, make me feel heavy? Or does the decision, even though it scares me, even though it's hard, is there something about it that expands possibility and opens up my life and will give me an opportunity to grow? If you're in this camp, the answer is heck yes. If you're in the dead camp and the hell no, heck no, okay? All right, cool. Let me give you a shout out real quick, because the do it anyway thing, I do it every morning. Because here's the deal about me, you guys. I hate exercising. I hate it.
Yeah, you do.
I do. I hate it. But actually, I should say it this way. I hate going. I hate getting dressed for it. I hate driving there. But I love how I feel when I've done it. I love it. And so do it anyway has helped me get through the front resistance, the part that I hate. And it helps me get there. And once I'm there, I absolutely don't necessarily love the exercise, but when I'm done, I love how I feel. And so that's how I use do it anyway, okay? Every day I use do it anyway, because it works so powerfully for me to push my excuses aside and to actually take care of my body, which is a very important thing in terms of my commitment, in terms of my desire to really enjoy my life fully. But I never, ever, ever, I'm never the kind of person that wakes up and goes, yeah, let's go exercise. I'm never the kind of person that is driving there going, I'm so excited to do this. I'm never the kind of person walking in that's even like, yes, I'm so glad I made it. I dread it, usually all the way through it. Sometimes I half enjoy it while I'm there, but mostly I dread it. But by the time it's over, I frigging love the fact that I went, and that's why I do it. Here's the thing that got me through kind of the loss of the talk show and the way that I think about things, that I hope helps if you're listening and you're kind of struggling with something. I believe, and I went into the talk show saying this to myself, because there's a 99% chance, based on the history of people that have tried to have a daytime talk show, that it was going to fail. And I went in there saying, I'm not doing this because I expect to have a successful talk show. I'm going to put 1,000% into it so that I have no regrets and I wouldn't change a thing. But I'm going into this because I know that there is a skill, a person, or an experience I am meant to have that will help me for the next chapter that I can't see coming. Mm-hmm. And the experience was, number one, meeting Mindy Borman, who is my executive producer, now my business partner and CEO. And it was also in working with a team of 130 people and finally being in the right seat on the bus, Lewis.
And not having to manage everything, but being in your lane.
Yes.
And having a team and you not being the one doing everything. I know that feeling.
Well, it's not even that I was doing everything. It's that I didn't have anybody managing me.
Right. And so your mind is going to go into like opportunity, as opposed to focus mode.
Right. And so if you ever wonder why it feels like we're running in circles, it's because I'm the one leading us in circles. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's a very hard thing to spot when you're in the middle of it.
Yep.
But when I got into a machinery that operated in a way where I was in the right seat on the bus, it was absolutely liberating. And that was the biggest gift of all. And then the third thing is, I think the daytime talk show and being face to face with your audience and having such a big daily audience, it was really amazing to be able to have an impact on a large number of people who feel forgotten because they're a little bit older if they're still watching TV. And a lot of the folks who are still watching TV at home during the daytime do not have the resources that you and I have, and may not have access to therapy or live in a community where it's stigmatized. And so having a platform that was reaching people that really appreciated this kind of content and also working with a really diverse range of experts, absolutely incredible. So I felt like I was organizing a killer dinner party conversation every day with real people's problems and the world's best experts. And so you kind of do a similar thing here on your podcast. So I know I want to continue to do that, but I'm in the middle of creating it. So if I said anything other than I know it's events, I know it's more courses, I know it's collaborating with more people and getting outside my comfort zone. And I also know that as I set out to write down what I want to do, there's so much freaking fear that I have.
Why is that?
Because I still feel like I'm not worthy. I feel like I don't deserve it. Like it's old bullshit. And I think that's the other thing about patterns, everybody, is just because you identify. And for me as a kid, for whatever reason, I have my own version of feeling invisible and feeling like I'm not good enough. And so my way of coping, both with my anxiety and being a survivor of sexual abuse and wanting love, which we all need, is I was like an overachiever. And so I'm the kind of person that's super busy and a go-getter because it got me attention. And if I was the one that was super busy and achieving, I not only got praise, but it also insulates you from other people not picking you because you're the one in a leadership role doing the picking.
Right.
And so there's a part of me at the age of 51 that is realizing that, you know, these feelings of feeling unworthy and this hyper drive to try to achieve, it's all coming from a place of feeling inadequate or like what I'm doing is not enough. And
still,
so that's
at 50, having the talk show, having a best-selling book, having the Audible originals, having the platform everywhere, having the impact, it still don't feel, being the most booked female speaker in the world, like you still don't feel.
It's so stupid. It's annoying. And human beings are annoying. We are stuck with this wiring. Like if you think about it, like all of the crap you believe is probably a hangover from age 0 to 10. That as adults, we walk around thinking the same stuff we thought as kids. And I can't stand that I feel that way, but knowing it, it allows me to catch it before it stops me from having an event or writing that next book or taking a risk.
What do you think the biggest fear is? Because you say not worthy or not feeling enough. Is that?
I mean, it's just people liking me. I think like being a people pleaser.
Yeah, we're so similar in every way. It's crazy. It's great.
I want people to like me.
What happens if people don't like you?
It's lonely, dude.
What happens
But
if
the problem is,
99%? What happens if 99% of people like you and 1% doesn't like you?
oh, I don't give a shit about that.
Okay, but if it's
I
like,
don't, I honestly,
if it's
yeah.
50-50,
I think that the work that we all have to do, every single one of us, whether you bulldoze, whether you people please, whether you avoid conflict, whether you're impulsive, whether you yo-yo your decisions, whatever it is that is your pattern, the constant trashing yourself. I think the journey of your whole life is figuring out how to truly like and love yourself.
yeah, it's so true. I mean, I remember this was my whole life, was never loving myself and needing to go prove to others originally that I'm worthy. This was happening in sports and business until I started opening up and accepting myself and taking off the mask when I turned 30, talking about sexual abuse and just kind of saying, screw it. I don't care what people think about me anymore. This pain inside is hurting so much. It's not worth living with it. So I'm going to start sharing and allow myself to heal and allow myself to finally love myself. And it's so funny that we could just write a book with 2 words that says love yourself. And that's all the book needs to say, because a lot of us never remember to love ourselves, remember to acquire skills, which are important. Remember to love other people, remind ourselves to take care of our health. But if we don't love ourselves internally, if we don't think we can give ourselves a hug because we're not deserving of it, then none of this stuff is going to matter, to the point of we're always going to need to do more to feel something.
Right.
It's
well,
crazy.
Nobody teaches you how to do it. And see, that's the thing. And I mean, if you look at human development, we're the only species that literally can't survive without another human being taking care of you. And so we are biologically hardwired to bond with other people. And that is from the very beginning of when you come out, bonding with somebody else and making sure they pay attention to you is your survival imperative. So you are born needing somebody else. And I think what ends up happening is there's never that kind of clean break or pass off between needing your parents to take care of you, needing your friends' approval to fit in, to truly having ownership over giving yourself what you didn't get, giving yourself what you needed. And that's the piece that I've been doing a lot of during the great pause, is slowing down, because so much of my busyness was fueled by, praise me, love me. Am I doing enough? Please tell me I'm doing okay. Okay, I can breathe now. I'm okay now. And when I slow down, and maybe it's a function of the anxiety, that's when things get scary, because that's when you've really got to be with yourself. Mm-hmm. And so it's in getting off the road, slowing down, recognizing that I'm super grateful for all the opportunity. And I know the work that I'm doing makes a tremendous impact. And I particularly love hearing from mental health practitioners that the 5-second rule, I've heard from so many people in inpatient psychiatric wards, Lewis, that use the 5-second rule in the videos we put on YouTube in their group counseling sessions with people. And knowing that it is helping so many people, it is like the greatest gift on the planet to know that it's making a difference. But I know that in this next chapter that I consciously create, I want to have more fun. I really want to love the process.
Yeah.
I don't want to make it so hard on myself and be gripping everything so tight. And it's really easy for me to see it in other people because I know what it feels like in here. I'm working hard to break the patterns that still hold me back. And the big one that holds me back is bulldozing. It's literally when I start to feel any level of tension. This is particularly true in my marriage. I'm married to a saint. Thank God Chris Robbins meditates every morning. It's the only reason why we've lasted 26 years. It's how he puts up with me. When I feel my emotion rise, I immediately raise my voice. Wow. It's how I assert power in the relationship. And I am so committed, Lewis, to
breaking that pattern
Wow.
and being a more fun person to be around and a kinder person to be around.
Wow. That's beautiful that you're getting this during the pause. What do you think was the biggest lesson you learned about yourself during the talk show experience before the pause? Because you covered so many topics and you had to research about so many things, and you brought so many people on, experts, but then just everyday people going through their challenges. What's the thing that you learned that was new? Because this is something you've been studying for years and talking about. And was there anything new that you were like shocked about? You learned about yourself or about human behavior?
This is going to be well, first of all, there's two things. The first one, I'll make it deeply personal, and the second one will be a thing that I learned.
Okay.
The talk show experience was almost like it's weird. It almost feels like it didn't happen.
Really?
Yeah.
It was your whole life for like 2 years.
Yeah, but 175 shows. It was super intense. It was almost a spiritual experience because I had dreamt about it for as long as I could remember. And I stepped onto that talk show set with such a level of mastery. And the reason why I had a level of mastery is because I could look backwards at my life and see that I had been heading to that moment for my entire life. That the ability to create trust and take a complicated amount of information and get down to the human connection immediately, that began back in 1994 when I was a legal aid attorney doing criminal defense work in New York City. My ability to understand what victims of domestic violence go through goes all the way back to 1986 through 1988 when I was a crisis intervention counselor volunteering on a domestic violence hotline.
Wow.
My ability to read a teleprompter had to do with being at CNN. My ability to work 18-hour days was a function of the reality TV show world. My ability to relate to somebody who had lost everything was a function of what Chris and I had gone through. My ability, like just everything all of a sudden was like, and it's why I can say with such urgency that you have to have faith that this is happening for a reason, that this is leading somewhere. And if you only just stay awake and you pay attention to what your body's trying to tell you in those moments when you have a signal come up. Like I think right now, aren't you so happy you're a digital entrepreneur?
I've been speaking about building an online business for over a decade. And so now I'm like, oh, I know what to do. And everyone's coming to me for the solutions. And our team is digital, so we are virtual, so we know how to run everything. And we do Zoom meetings every week already.
Yes. And so I literally, when I think back 3 years ago where I was like saw one of your videos or Gary's videos or somebody, I'm like, oh, I just need to start filming the book lines at these. And it was a moment. It was this little amount of wisdom inside of me that I listened to. And I am telling you, that is the power. You got to tune out the noise and you got to learn how to make what I call a quiet decision.
Yeah.
A quiet decision where you shh, and you hear what your heart is urging you to do. And so I sit here, because aside from the talk show ending and the book getting canceled, I was literally like, okay, so online courses, we do Zoom, we've got this amazing social media platform, we'll figure it out. And luckily I was like a squirrel with a nut and I put a lot of money away because I was not going to make the same mistake twice.
Smart. Yeah. And you've been doing a lot of research and you've been diving in and making sure you make the right decisions. We've been texting and chatting about different stuff. And
the biggest insight though, is we did a show that had, I can't believe I can't remember the gentleman's name. He's from Washington, D.C., and it was a show about heroin and heroin addiction, or the opioid addiction and heroin, and how this has been an epidemic in the Black community for 20 years. And it only became a big national story because opioid addiction got linked to heroin abuse and it became a white problem. And so he came on the show with 3 former addicts. It was the most profound show that I have ever done because I learned something that I never even understood as a public defender. And that is living in poverty and living with systematic racism creates trauma. And when people experience trauma in their bodies and in their nervous systems, your response, particularly if you have no resources or treatment, and the vast majority of us do not get treatment for the trauma that we experience, most of us want to numb it. And he connected the dots between the chronic trauma that the folks that he was serving had experienced growing up in extreme poverty, around violence, dealing with racism and bigotry and violence, and the natural inclination to reach for something to help you numb that pain. And he connected the dots between deep emotional trauma and addictions that result in a way that I had never heard anybody explain so eloquently. And it was such an eye-opening experience.
The story of the 5-second rule book, you guys. So I self-published that book. Okay. Because I just thought, okay, I want to own what I do because I'm a control freak. I want to own what I do. And I really care about this message. And nobody's going to tell this the way that I want to tell it. So I self-published the book. I study all the best-selling authors to figure out how do you get on the lists? Because if you get on the list, then, mass media will pay attention and more people will get the book, whatever.
No one told you that if you self-publish, the lists are out the window?
No. So I literally self-published the book, not knowing you will not make a single list and not realizing there won't be a single bookstore that carry the book. So I put all my effort into marketing for this big book launch. We're going to sell as many books as possible so I can get on the list. And here's what happens. I do everything you're supposed to do. I have a puny-ass newsletter list at that point, like 8,000 people or whatever. I am on like one podcast. I'm doing a couple speeches. And on the day the book goes on sale, I pour all the energy at getting people to buy on Amazon. Within 2 hours, everybody's writing saying it's out of stock. And I'm thinking there's no way 20,000 books are out of stock. No way. I don't have that many people on the newsletter list. And my Aunt Sally only bought 4 of them. So there's no way there's 20,000. And this is what I know now. If Amazon has a product that is unknown and they get an unexpected surge that's pretty consistent, they turn off inventory.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Because they just assume it's fraud.
Correct. And they also want to make sure they can check with inventory to make sure the supply is okay before they say it's being shipped. So for the first 2 weeks of my book launch, as I am now exhausting everything that I've worked for 6 months to try to do, all the traffic that I'm sending to Amazon is going to a page that says out of stock. I am literally crying every day. Meanwhile, Tony Robbins has launched a book the same day. So every fucking where I go, his face is everywhere. He's in the front of every bookstore. He's in every airport. I'm like, dear universe, why? I get asked every time I speak, are you Tony Robbins' wife? Because my last name is Robbins. I'm like, no, I'm Christopher Robbins' wife, which is actually my husband's name, Christopher Robbins. I literally thought, what have I done? Why me? Why am I the bad news bears? Why do I always have to sneak in the back door? Why does nothing ever work out for me? Why do all these other people get to have it easy? Why are they all friends? Why do they support? Like, why? So I am literally licking my wounds thinking that this is the worst thing that's ever happened. Meanwhile, I have completely forgotten that I also self-published the audiobook. When people went, I didn't know this was happening. But about 4 weeks later, when I have just chalked up the book as a total failure, I get an email from Audible that says, your monthly report is due. And I literally fall out of my chair. It was 6 figures.
Wow. So it just directed everybody to get the audiobook.
Correct.
And this was at an inflection point for audiobooks. Audiobooks hadn't quite tipped over into being as mainstream as they are now, but that was a
2017.
huge, that was like right around the time where it started to become a thing.
And Audible is owned by Amazon. So everything that
Right.
happens on Audible impacts the Amazon algorithm. So all of a sudden, the 5-second rule shot up. It was the number 1 audiobook of the year in 2017. It was the number 6 most read book of the year on Amazon. It has been translated into 36 languages in 4 years flat. It has sold millions of copies. And here's the most important thing I want you to hear. It has never made a bestsellers list.
Right. It's so crazy how that
But
works.
here's the thing I want you to understand. Your dreams have a purpose. I have always dreamt of being a New York Times bestselling author. Never have been. That dream has a purpose. And the purpose of that dream is to pull me through my bullshit and my fears and my anxiety and my sense of unworthiness to make me work for something. But those dreams are not necessarily to be fulfilled. They are a vehicle that gets you moving. There is something so much better in store for you than that dream. There's something bigger. Because what happened to me is by not making that dream, I've learned an entirely new business model. I mean, I have a huge partnership with Audible now.
Right. You've done a ton of stuff with Audible. You're one of their leading partners in the whole sort of listening space altogether.
Yep. I never would have known that. Had I achieved my dream of being a New York Times bestselling author, if I had had a successful traditional book launch, I never would be where I am right now.
Yeah, there's no way.
No
it
way.
would have satisfied your ego temporarily.
Correct. Why has it been tough? You really love her. You're getting on a plane and you're going to go see her.
Yeah, I love her a bunch.
Okay.
So, I guess I'm kind of coming to the realization that I haven't been hearing her properly, connecting with her on the level that I should be. And now I'm trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
So a couple months ago, we've been having counseling. And,
That's good. My husband and I go to counseling.
It helps. She was doing it before, and then it kind of became the group, and then now I kind of see a little bit on my own. So I'm recognizing these things, but I also know like a couple of months ago in counseling, she admitted on her last tour that she had emotionally connected with somebody else. So obviously that put a big fire under my ass.
Yeah.
And supposedly
It's scary.
Supposedly I handled it really well, so she's wanting to, do all this. She's worked a lot on herself for kind of getting to the point where she's at.
Yeah.
She's got a spot on the bookshelf that's 12, 15 composition books deep of just thoughts ever since she was back, I think she said, to like 12.
Amazing.
Because of some things that happened to her before that age of being taken advantage of.
This is for your flight 280 services to Pittsburgh at gate 17. This is serving as a final boarding card. The doors are closing in about 3 minutes, and they will not
doing this, you realize how much you need to work on yourself.
It's scary. And then a lot of regrets come up, and a lot of things you wish you could do over, and then you start to realize there's shit from your past that really messed with you, that you shoved down, that happened when you were a kid. This is, I think, the cycle that we all hit in adulthood. And here's the amazing opportunity. You not only have an amazing opportunity to change the person that you are and to change the relationship that you have with your life, but you have an amazing opportunity to change the relationship you have with yourself. Because your thoughts, your feelings, they actually matter too. And you can't get...
I've been neglecting.
Yes. See, relationships are amplifiers. You go into a relationship and you're not right with yourself, that relationship just magnifies what's missing. What did you just get from that?
I like that. Well, it's going to expose those demons more.
Yeah, and here's the thing that most men, at least in a traditional gender sense, don't understand. That it takes tremendous strength to be vulnerable. It takes tremendous strength to talk about the shit that's bothering you.
Yeah.
It takes tremendous strength to admit that you're wrong and to be scared. And that's actually what makes you connect more deeply to your partner. My husband of 25 years, failed miserably in the restaurant business. Nearly bankrupted us. Lost it all. When he left the business, he was an alcoholic and completely lost and demoralized. And I did not know until recently, because it was through these rock bottom moments that my career took off. I invented this little thing called the 5-second rule that I used to get out of bed when the anxiety was so crushing. The only thing that would help me escape it was drinking myself into oblivion to numb it all out. And I started using this little brain hack to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, shut down the noise in my brain and launch myself forward through the fear, through the pain, through all of it. And my whole life turned around. Chris's life turned around. But I did not know until recently, when we've been in couples therapy, that the man has, for the last 8 years, just been beating the hell out of himself because he feels like he failed. He feels like he wasn't there for me. He feels like he didn't do his job providing.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. And then when your spouse starts to get successful and they start to find themselves, it gets very concerning. And so what I want to tell you is that the opportunity to connect with her is through being open and through being open. Like, go toward that shit. I'm proud of you.
I've been doing it, as you see.
I can see that. I can see that. I can see that. And you got to learn how to love yourself, regardless of what happened, regardless of what you did or didn't do, regardless of all that. You got to learn how to look in the mirror and see a man who is worth rooting for and who is worthy of love. It is not too late to change this. It is not too late to change your life. It's not too late to change your marriage. But it's an inside-out job. You start to show yourself some kindness and some love. And you start sharing more of the stuff that's coming up for you. And that is the path that's going to actually heal you, and it's going to
stop.
Yes.
Yeah. So to speak. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Just need my mojo back. I think that's what she met in me. I had a nice swagger and everything, but it's gotten diluted or
by life.
I think so. Maybe my own just being stagnant. And
that's it.
Accepting instead of keep pushing.
You know, my good friend Joel Marin, who you should follow, just sent me a freaking thing that he wrote today. Oh my God, Joel! Praise you, Joel. Joel, I cannot believe this. Joel Marin, I'll give you his name. He literally wrote me this whole thing that he wrote today that you need to hear.
Very shortly will not reopen. This is your
Wait till I'm going to find out. Marion. He wrote me this whole thing about the fact that when we are born, we have incredible potential, but so few of us realize what we're capable of. And he uses this analogy. This is in your DNA. You were created to be a Lamborghini in life. You have literally everything inside you to be able to perform like that Lambo. You're manufactured that way. That engine, 729 horsepower engine, is in there. That insane torque. You have unbelievable intrinsic ability to go from 0 to 65 miles per hour in under 3 seconds. But for most of us, we never experience close to those numbers that we are created to perform at. And so he tells a story about how he was test driving one, but the neighborhood he's in has like 35 mile per hour speed limit.
Okay.
He ended up not buying it because he never experienced the potential.
Right.
What you're talking about is you're talking about the fact that you actually know there is that inside of you. And when you lose your capacity that you were built in, and you stop growing, and you stop stretching yourself, and you stop pushing yourself forward and learning new stuff and expressing yourself, something inside you starts to feel like it's dying.
Yeah.
And so I'm telling you,
that engine.
Yes, it's still there. And the reason why it's still there is because you miss it. And you can only miss something you know.
Okay.
So I think Joel sent me that for a reason. In times of my life when I felt lost or stagnant, I say I feel like a racehorse tied to a pony ride at a kid's birthday party. Like I am built to fucking run.
Yeah.
And I hate it when I feel like just tied down like that.
Yeah.
And so there is something inside you that you've been holding back. What do you think it is?
Not really sure.
Well, I would take on a challenge.
Not sure if it's a passion that I've ever tapped into or something that I've missed since, earlier years.
Who knows? I think you should take on a challenge. I think you should take on climbing some mountain or some kind of race or some like fitness thing, something that's a little out of your comfort zone to give you something to push you. It doesn't have to be the perfect thing. Just something that you're up to is enough.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But I want to acknowledge you for the fact that you recognize that there's an issue and you're taking the steps to go make the effort. You're getting on a plane, you're flying to surprise your wife.
Not only that, but I deal with motion sickness, vertigo, and
awesome.
And I don't drive well at night, so I've got the bands on.
Great, they work.
I took my motion sickness pills.
I love that. I give you a high five for that. That's fantastic.
We're doing what we can.
You're doing it. Then does she know you? She doesn't know you're coming.
She does now.
Oh, good.
She didn't a couple days ago, but then we were trying to do the pregnancy reveal to some of the family because we just found out last week.
Congratulations!
So she was all like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. You're there, and I'm here, and I want to video chat my family and be able to like tell them because she's up where some of the family is and she was seeing someone were coming to visit. So I told her, I'll tell you what, well, I'm actually coming up there. So she was pretty surprised, but
That's awesome. You're going to be an awesome dad. You want to know who the best dads are?
Yeah.
The ones who are actually right with themselves.
That's true.
The ones who are able to talk about their emotions. The ones who are able to be human.
This is my second child. This is her first, but I told them, my son's almost 23.
That's amazing.
So to start over is it's been a lot of emotion.
You're not going to start over. You actually are building upon.
Okay. And my son's been great. You guys would be super impressed with how good my son is. He hasn't seen his mom since he was 6 years old, so I kind of raised him on my own. I mean, there's people in and out of the life, but yeah.
You got a moment in your life to make yourself really proud of yourself.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
And if I were a betting woman, some days I am, depends how much liquor I get, I'd place my bet on it.
That's what I'd like. I want that more than anything.
Don't wish for it, don't want it.
And my wife deserves it.
Do the work. No, hold on.
What? Go ahead.
You deserve it.
I deserve it. Okay.
Give yourself what you're seeking from other people. Seek redemption and forgiveness because you deserve it from yourself. And in my book, forgiveness means that you have stopped wishing things could be different. Accept everything that's happened or didn't happen as a lesson. And as long as you hold on to that shit from the past, you're actually still there.
Yeah.
What'd you get out of this?
I got a little more resiliency, a little pick-me-up, and I'm glad I came and talked to you very much and took the time. I wasn't sure if I was imposing because I didn't know if it was more like a female thing, but I have plenty of emotion that I'm pretty open with. Sometimes too open, maybe.
I don't think so. I'm also going to introduce you to my husband. So he created a men's group a men's retreat called Soul Degree, where he takes guys out into the woods for 5 days to actually have these kinds of conversations. And he's had guys from 22 to 60 plus, multiple tours of duty, professional athletes, regular, just everyday folks like all of us. And it's remarkable. And what he also does, because he only does these a couple times a year, is he also has calls every month where it's guys get on and he leads a meditation and then there's a topic that y'all discuss and it's really freaking cool. And so I will make sure that you have his information and I will get both of your email addresses and I will have my team email you a credit so you can listen to one of my books on Audible.
That's cool. I've been doing a lot more trying to listen to stuff. And you know, you just don't know what direction to go because some stuff is just, some people just want to make some money on you. And you know, there's so much out there. You just want to find the right path.
Yeah.
As best as possible.
Yeah.
So,
awesome.
Thank you.
Today's coffee talk is all about feeling the fear and doing it anyway. And I'm sure you've heard that statement, right? Feel the fear. And the thing that I want to talk to you about today is that there is not only a lot of inspiration behind that statement, feel the fear, but there's also a lot of science behind it. And that's what we're going to talk about today. That if you want to get through and break through your fears that are holding you back, you're going to need to learn to feel the fear and do it anyway. You know, yesterday, I also want to just say that we talked about, oh no, it wasn't yesterday. Was it yesterday? Did we go live yesterday? I'm having a hard time remembering what's going on in my life because I've been on the road since Sunday. I'm now in Miami. Yesterday, we talked about living your passion, and a lot of you were confused about where to turn in your life if you don't know how to live with more passion. A lot of you keep saying you want to find your passion. And so I want to remind you about the fact that if you missed yesterday's training, it's a really important one about the definition of passion, because passion is something that's in you. It's something that you unlock. It's something that you release. It is not something that you go and find outside of you. It's something you tap into inside of you. If you missed that training, make sure you go to Facebook or go to YouTube and you can watch that training in full. It's a super, super, super important one. But today we're going to be talking about feel the fear, because what you're going to learn today is that we tend to think about fear as something that's up here, you know, that the fears are all in our heads. Well, the truth is your body feels fear and remembers fear and senses fear way before your mind does. And the reason why I want to talk to you about this is because, as many of you know, we have a brand new audiobook that just launched with Audible Originals. So Audible Originals is an imprint inside of Audible. We are a major partner of Audible's, and we just released a brand new audiobook. It's their #1 new release on Audible called Take Control of Your Life: How to Silence Fear and Win the Mental Game. And there were some unbelievable things that I learned and that my team learned and that we're now sharing with you in doing that project. So Take Control of Your Life isn't your typical audiobook. It's not me just reading a book that I wrote. What Take Control of Your Life is Take Control of Your Life is a live coaching and takeaway program that's 10 hours long. And so there are 6 people that you meet when you listen to Take Control of Your Life. And they have fears, just like you have fears that are holding them back, just like you have fears that hold you back, fears that impact your life in a negative way. And we go session by session for 6 sessions. You listen to the coaching session, you hear about somebody else's fear, you hear me coaching this person live, and then I spend like 45 minutes unpacking the entire coaching session for you. And on top of it, you guys, there's a 55-page workbook that our team designed that goes along as a companion to this audiobook. And you don't even need to buy the audiobook to get the workbook or to get the takeaways, because I'm giving you the takeaways for free here on our live stream. So if you want the audiobook, just go to melrobbins.com/take control and you can download the audiobook. And what I'm going to talk to you about today is I'm going to talk to you about the session that we did with Heather in Take Control of Your Life. And it's a really incredible session because Heather is held back at work, because what happens is when she has to have a really difficult conversation, when there's something that she wants to talk to her boss about, when there's a conflict with one of her colleagues. You ever have a conflict with your colleagues at work? Ever feel like you work in a toxic work environment? Well, this is something that you need to understand. Sometimes the toxicity in your work environment is about the other people. And sometimes the toxicity in your work environment or in your life environment or your friend environment is about stored memories in your body from your childhood. I know it's crazy stuff, because The saying, feel the fear and do it anyway, it's true because your body feels situations that set you, that put you in a state of being afraid before your mind catches up and starts thinking about what you're afraid of. And so one of the key takeaways from Take Control, and one of the things that I want to teach you today, is that if you start to tune into your body and you start to notice the signals that your body is sending to you in your day-to-day life, signals like butterflies in your stomach, signals like feeling a rush of energy up to your neck, signals like your armpits sweating, signals like your hands getting sweaty, signals that your body is stepping and noticing a situation that reminds it of your past. Learning how to read those signals that, oh my God, here goes my body. My body is starting to recognize that this is a situation that puts me on edge. Recognizing those signals first and slowing the body response down before your brain starts to go, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. That is a critical skill in taking control of your life. And it's something that we learned about by doing this project with Audible, and that you can learn about today in today's live broadcast. So when you feel out of control, maybe you have to have a conversation. Like, give me a situation in the comments. Tell me a situation right now when you think about it, that it makes your stomach turn. There's something that you need to do. There's a conversation that you need to have. Tell me what it is. Do you have to talk to your sister-in-law? Do you have to go talk to your boss? We got an incredible email today from a woman. Let me see if I can pull it up so I can give her a shout out. We got an incredible email today from a woman whose name Michelle. She took our Mindset Reset program after her sister recommended it. She watched 3 of the 30 trainings, just like you're watching a training right now. And then she started listening to my first audiobook, The 5-Second Rule, which is absolutely incredible. It's like having me sit next to you and just chatting with you for 8 or 9 hours. And she started to realize, oh my God, I have been so fearful and so worried all the time. And I didn't even realize how much of my worries and my fears are constantly in my head. And I can relate to that. How many of you, do you feel like you worry too much? Do you feel like you live in your head too much? Do you wish that your mind was a more positive place? You know, my daughter and I are here in Miami, and I'm just like you. My mind can be my worst enemy. I was laying in bed last night and I had fallen asleep and I kept waking up. And you know what I was thinking about? I was waking up because I could hear people in the hallway kind of coming in from a late night of partying. And you know what the first thing that my mind defaulted to? There being a fire in the hotel. And I started having these visions of my daughter and I going down the stairwell and getting trapped. And then I had visions of us being on the balcony on this room and fire kind of engulfing. And what are we doing? Are we tying a rope? I mean, it's just insanity, absolute insanity. And I used the techniques that I teach you. I went 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I am not thinking about this. And the thought disappeared because I constantly reset my mindset. And, you know, one of the reasons why I'm telling you this is if you are tired of feeling negative, if you feel often that your own thoughts are the things that trip you up in life, that you wish that your mind were more positive, I'm telling you that I'm the same way. Just because I teach this stuff, just because I study this, just because I do what I do for a living, doesn't make me immune to what it means to be human. And what it means to be human is that your brain and your body want you to survive. Your brain and your body remember situations that scare the daylights out of you. Your brain and your body try to talk you out of anything that makes you feel risky. And your brain, given that it has been trained by situations in the past, and given that you allow it to worry all the time, you have a habit of doing it, if you're not careful and you're not deliberate, your brain will default to scary crap like mine was last night. That doesn't mean you're broken. It means that your brain is thinking something that's broken, and it's time for you to reset your mindset and pull it back. So where does this all connect up with feel the fear and do it anyway? What is one thing that you know that you need to do that when you think about doing it, and a lot of times it's a conversation, when you think about doing it, you get a pit in your stomach. I want you to write in the comments, what is that thing that you are afraid to do? You know you should do it. It's probably a conversation. And, oh, here we go. My 29-year-old son came home. He's living with us temporarily. He's bringing women home late night from the bars. He's a lot like his father, so very confrontational. Having that conversation gives you a pit. Starting writing my book, having a conversation with my coach, leaving my home, driving, asking for my raise that I'm worth, quitting my job, calling that prospect in my business, paying my taxes, paying my bills, working out in front of other people, doing a presentation. These are all driving to another state in busy traffic, reaching out to new clients. Excellent. Opening up a business. So as you think about this thing that you want, what immediately happens is you feel a pit in your stomach. That's what happens before your mind even goes, oh, I'm scared to call prospects. Oh, I'm scared to leave a secure job. Oh, I'm scared to write this new script. Oh, I'm scared to lose weight. I'm scared to address the issues in my marriage. I'm scared to talk to my husband about money. I'm scared to stand up for myself. I'm scared to act as I feel I should because I'm scared about the negative consequences. Your brain doesn't even process it yet. What happens is you have an idea about this thing that you know you need to do, and you immediately feel a pit in your stomach, or you feel your chest tighten, or you feel energy rise up into your neck, right? Your body is feeling the fear first. And believe it or not, part of the self-awareness and self-mastery and the ability to move your life forward is not only in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, finding the instant motivation and courage to push yourself forward, but the true liberation and freedom is going to come when you start to understand the body signals that got programmed a long time ago in your body that are holding you back, and learning how in those moments when you get a pit in your stomach to recognize it and slow the body sensations down and then move forward before your mind starts talking you out of it. So a lot of what happens for us is you had situations when you were a kid, maybe your mom or your dad were really intense. Maybe you grew up in a very competitive household. Maybe you were the kind of kid that things were better in your house when you were seen but not heard. And so and your body remembers it. Your body remembers situations when your parents were yelling because as a kid, it feels traumatic. Your body remembers situations where in a classroom you were nervous or afraid to be called out or be seen. Your body remembers moments when you were embarrassed. And so what's interesting is that your body will now face any situation where you're about to be seen or you're about to speak up or you're about to do something where you're facing uncertainty or you're about to face judgment. And your body remembers those situations and it starts to get nervous or agitated or on edge because it knows, oh my God, you're about to do something that's going to expose you, and your body wants to keep you safe. That's why your stomach starts to go grumbly. That's why your chest starts to get tight, because you are about to do something that exposes you. You're about to do something that is new. You're about to do something that is scary, and your body wants to try to protect you. Now, your body's misreading the situation, by the way. And so I want to share with you a story. So this woman, for 10 years, she has thought about asking her boss, 10 years, if she can come in a little earlier and end her day at 4:30 so that she has more time with her husband and daughter in the evening. 10 years. And she's been thinking about it for 10 years because that's how long her daughter's been around. Her daughter is 10 years old. So for as long as she's had a daughter, she's been thinking about asking her boss. And you know what happens? Is every time she thinks about doing it, she gets a pit in her stomach. The pit in her stomach then makes her go, whoop, guess I better not do it. Oh, that's Kendall. Hold on. Let me just turn off this phone. Oh. My daughter left her phone here. She's been thinking about it, but then she gets this body signals, right? And she doesn't even realize she's afraid. The body signals make her body feel afraid. So she's been using the tools for 3 days that we're teaching. And you know, yesterday she went in and she asked her boss if she could leave at 4:30. He said, no problem. And then because she had the courage to do that, she asked if there was a way for her to take this professional development class, something else she's been thinking about. But she has pits in her stomach, so she's not asking, right? The pit in her stomach, the fear in her body, it's stopping her. And it's stopping you too. The boss said, sure, let me talk to our fiscal director and see when we can actually put it in the budget for you to take the class. And what she said is, she said, just those two simple acts, just those two have boosted my confidence more than I ever thought possible. And that's how this all works together. And so back to today, feel the fear and do it anyway, that famous quote. I want to tell you a little bit about the science. So there's this famous neuroscientist called Antonio Damasio, and he did a really interesting study where he discovered that our body senses fear before our mind even realizes it. And when fear or danger, speaking to your boss, calling a prospect, going to the gym when you're not proud of the way that you look, and you know, it's not fear like terror. It's more that low-grade agitation in your body. I felt it yesterday because I went to a boot camp class yesterday, and I'm not in good shape, and I don't do boot camp classes, and Kendall and I are staying at this hotel where, holy cow, everybody seems like there's some sort of professional weightlifter or Instagram model, and so it was really intimidating, and I could feel that agitation in my body. That's the kind of fear I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the paralysis fear your life is threatened and you really are in a life or death situation. I'm talking about the low-grade agitation that is there when you're about to do something that makes you feel a little uncomfortable. So when fear or danger is sensed in the body, your body begins a stress response before your mind even catches up. And if you want to take control of your life, you got to take control of that physical state. And it starts with catching these moments, everyone, when you start to feel it, okay? And so for some of you, it may be a pit in the stomach. For some of you, it may be tightening in the chest. For Heather, who was one of the people I coached in Take Control, it was this massive wave of heat that went into her chest, tightness, a rash, and then she could start to feel that she was crying. You need to understand, how do you react to situations that make you nervous? Write it in the comments. Write it in the comments. Is it a tightness in your stomach? Is it a tightness in your chest? Is it a deep, tense breathing? Is it a rash? Do your thoughts race? What is it that happens to you when you think about going in and talking to your boss about a raise? What is it that happens to you when you think about picking up the phone and calling a prospect in your business? Here's tightness in the chest, crying, shallow breathing. The heat wave comes on. My thoughts start to race. My tummy gets upset. Excellent, excellent. These are all physiological responses of your body getting in a state where it's about to pay attention. It doesn't mean that anything's going to go wrong. The problem is when you feel that chest, sweat, stomach drop, the shutting down, the nervous belly, when you feel that, you immediately assume something is wrong, and you have trained yourself to do one of two things. Shut up, or don't show up. That's it. That's it. And what we want you to do is, I want you, when that happens, what I want you to do is go, oh, here's my body. Here's my body sensing something. Just call it out for what it is. And then I want you to slow your body down. I want you to take, and look, here's Ro the realtor. I used the 5-second rule to ask for a better commission split, and I got it. Good. Because here's the other interesting piece of science. You know that wave that you feel, or your tongue gets numb, or you get tightness in your cheeks, or you freeze? You know when that happens? Based on the science, there is only a 90-second chemical release in your body. It's called the 90-second rule. When your body stomach starts to flutter, when your heart starts to race, when you feel this feeling of fear that you have that's unique to you, based on the science, there's a 90-second rule, and all of the chemical release that's happening, because your body is going into a state of being alert, it only sticks around for 90 seconds. As long as you don't let your thoughts race. If your thoughts start to race, you'll start to agitate the situation. So what we want you to do, what I want you to do, and if you go to melrobbins.com/take control and you download the 55-page workbook that goes with our audio book that is the #1 new release on Audible called Take Control, How to Silence Fear and Win the Mental Game. If you look on pages 12 and 13 of the workbook, there's a long list of things that you can do to slow your body response to fear down. So the next time that your body goes into a state of alert, stomach gets tight, you feel frozen, you get stuck, you feel your neck, when the body starts to do that, #1, just remember, it means your body is getting ready to be alert and pay attention. And it does not mean you're going to lose control. It does not mean you're in danger. It does not mean to stop or to shut up. I want you to take a deep breath. Count to 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. And realize that the hormones that just got released because you're about to do something, they only last 90 seconds. That's it. You can breathe slowly. You can count to 90. You can get up and walk around. You can do 90 seconds of jumping jacks. You can meditate for 90 seconds. You can ground your feet in your chair and wiggle a minute so that you feel your body in your chair. And take deep breaths. And what you're going to find is that you're going to be blown away. You're going to be blown away because what you're going to see is that in 90 seconds flat, you can go from being somebody who has an upset stomach and who would normally not go talk to your boss, who would normally not walk into that gym, who would normally not make that call. In 90 seconds flat, you can manipulate your body state to calm down, and you will notice that your thoughts do not race. Your thoughts calm down, you're in full control, and now you can speak up, and now you can show up. And here's what's even cooler. By doing this, by interrupting the fear response and the thoughts racing, you're retraining your body response to situations. The more you do this, the less on edge your body will be in similar situations. The more you do this, the less likely your thoughts will race when you get into situations that are uncomfortable or makes you scared. What I want you to do if you're feeling a level of fear right now is I want you to use a concept that I learned from my friend, Carrie Lorenz, who is the first female F-14 Tomcat fighter pilot in the history of the United States in the armed forces. She is a freaking badass. And she has this thing that she's taught me called span of control. Do you know that the majority of airplane crashes are due to human error, not mechanical error? And in order to train pilots, this is something I learned from her, there is a concept called span of control, which means when you get into a situation as a pilot that makes you afraid, you immediately narrow your span of control down to 3 things. Because apparently, and I'm not a pilot either, so don't take my word for this, but apparently there are 3 things that you got to manage when you get into a situation that spikes your fear in order to keep that plane in the air, right? And so when you narrow your span of control to those 3 things that really matter, you tune out all the dials. Think about what a plane kind of, the front of a plane, I don't even know, the control panels of a plane look like. There's a bazillion things that you got to look at. Very confusing, very overwhelming. Just like right now. What are my kids doing? Should I go out? Home Depot parking lot. People are at the beach. What the fuck? I thought we were in a pandemic. What? Like, you could start to wig yourself out about everything. You don't need to do that. What you need to do is narrow your span of control to the things that you truly are concerned about. I will tell you, I've stopped washing packages that come in. I've stopped being psycho about the groceries. I'm also not immunocompromised. We have been isolating in a squad with a bunch of families. We had some of them over last night outside.
I'm washing my hands just as much. I'm wearing my mask. I only go out when I absolutely need something like Home Depot or booze. The thing that I'm doing now, knowing that my kids are out and about, is I'm narrowing my span of control to not micromanaging them and what they're doing, but micromanaging what happens when they come back into this house. Go upstairs, change your clothes, wash your hands. That's all I can do. I remind them, spray down the steering wheel if they've driven. That's all I can do. I am narrowing the span of control. So if you feel nervous, that's what you should do. Just figure out what is the narrow span of control. What are the 3 things that you care about? For me, it's that my children, who are now running around like a pack of wild dogs with their friends, trying to enjoy the summer and let off some steam, I don't blame them. It's what is my decontamination system for those human beings that I created when they enter my home. I'm not concerned about me. I'm not concerned about how I'm concerned about them. Got it? Good. Span of control is going to lower your fear. Now I'm going to teach you a little trick. When you say I'm excited, your brain tells your body you're safe. And so they studied this at Harvard Medical School. If you, in a moment like this, go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to interrupt the racing, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God thoughts. And then you say, I'm so excited to be up here. I'm really excited, even though I'm like shaking. I'm really excited because my colleagues believe in me. I'm really excited and I'm really proud of myself. Something is going to happen in your body, so I want you to repeat that with me, okay? You ready? I'm really excited to be up here.
I'm really excited to be up here.
Let's do it a little louder.
I'm really excited to be up here.
I'm really proud of myself.
I'm really proud of myself.
I'm really excited that my colleagues love me so much.
I'm really excited that my colleagues love me so much.
And I'm really excited I'm pushing through my fears.
I'm really excited I'm pushing through my fears.
Do you feel your body settling a little? Even just a little? No. No? Not at all? I don't believe you. I think that you think if you say, I actually feel a little bit better, Mel, that I'm going to make you stay up here longer. Isn't it? See? I knew it! I knew it! How many of you feel for her and you know fear is holding you back too? Fear lowers when you move. I want to hear you say, I'm excited I'm up here, because I know deep down in your heart you are.
I'm excited to be up here.
Why are you proud of yourself for allowing yourself to come up here?
Because I'm awesome.
Yes! Yes! Yes, you are! You are! Yes, you are! Come on! Get up for her! Get out of your seats, damn it! I want you to take this in. Take this in. You are awesome. What did you get out of this, other than hating Mel Robbins?
I'm gonna get my boss.
Okay. She deserves a promotion. I want a raise on Monday morning.
That's 10.
Huh? What did you get out of this?
It's not so bad to be seen.
Oh, man. That's deep. That's deep. It's a beautiful thing to allow yourself to be seen. And too many of us, because of whatever's happened to you, whatever you've survived, because it scares the hell out of you, we won't even allow ourselves to be seen. It makes me so sad. It really does. And so I hope that in your bones and your nerves and your cells, this is a line in the sand, a before and an after. And when you catch yourself opting out or hiding, that you remember this moment and you choose to be seen and to show up for yourself, because you are freaking awesome. They see the women at that table that pointed at you and pointed at you. They see what you see. You are awesome. You got it? Good. You know, I've heard a lot of experts say that fear isn't real. That is such a bunch of baloney. Fear is so real. In fact, there are probably things that you're afraid of doing right now in your life, in your relationships, at work. And the fact that you're afraid, that's robbing you of all of the experiences that you want to have in your life. I mean, if you're afraid to fly, that's going to limit your ability to travel and see the world or go visit friends. If you're afraid of public speaking, that's going to really limit your ability to express yourself and share your ideas. If you're afraid of talking to your boss or asking for a raise, that directly impacts how much money you make. Or what if you are dreaming of starting a business, or you've already started a new business, but you're afraid to talk to people and you're afraid to share your business with people? I mean, fear is something that stops us all. And that's why I'm here to talk to you, because it doesn't have to. Fear is real, but I am going to share a secret weapon that I have used for years to beat every single fear that used to stop me. Now, first, before we get into this secret weapon, I just want to cover a few facts about fear, what it is, what it isn't, and some things that you may not know about fear. So first thing, fear is a physical state in your body that is exactly the same as excitement. Let me say that again. Fear and excitement are the exact same physical state. Your heart races. You might sweat a little bit. You might feel tightening in your chest. You might feel a pit in your stomach. You have a surge of cortisol. It's basically the way that your body goes into a hyper-aware state because it's readying for action. Now, what's the difference between fear and excitement? Really simple. The only difference between fear and excitement is what your brain is doing as your body is all agitated. If you're excited, your brain's going, oh, wow, this is going to be so cool to ride this roller coaster. If you're afraid, your brain's going, no way, there's no way I'm doing that. This is dangerous. Get out of there. Don't do that. It's saying something different. So what's critical about understanding this is that we're going to use the fact that your mind is either working for you for excitement or against you with fear to your advantage. And I'll tell you about it in just a minute, how you're going to do that. Second thing I want you to understand is that you may have heard the advice, feel the fear and do it anyway. You may have heard the advice, oh, just try to calm down. Think positive thoughts. It doesn't work, does it? And there's a reason why it doesn't work. So let's go back to fact number one. When you're afraid, your body's in a state of arousal and agitation, and your heart is racing, and you're all like amped up, and you're hyper aware of what's going on, and you're freaking out a little bit. What is it like when you're calm? You just kind of chill, right? You got like this low arousal state. Very, very difficult to go from a state of agitation and being all jacked up and excited and weirded out to a kind of state. It doesn't work. It's like trying to stop a train by throwing a boulder on the tracks. It's going to make the train jump off the tracks. It's going to cause a disaster. In fact, they've proven in research that when you try to ignore your fears, it actually makes them worse. And they've also proven in research that positive thinking alone also can make your fears worse. So, what do you do? What do you do when you're about to go talk to your boss and you feel afraid? What do you do when you have to get on a plane and you're actually terrified of flying? What do you do if you got to give a presentation and you are afraid of public speaking? Here's what you're going to do. You're going to use a strategy, the same one that I use, that has helped me beat every single fear and turned me into somebody that is terrific when it comes to a high-stress situation. This is how you do it. You're going to use my 5-second rule in combination with what I call an anchor thought, and that is going to reframe what your mind is doing so that your mind goes from feeling agitation and making you afraid to reframing it from agitation to excitement. It works like magic. Now, I have used this technique for years, literally for years. And one of the ways that I want to introduce you to it is I want to take you backstage. I want to take you backstage to a speech that I delivered this year. And what you're going to see is you're going to see me behind, the major set. I'm about to walk out. You can kind of hear the crowd roaring. My introductory video is playing. My body is in a state of arousal. I am literally, my heart is racing, my arms are sweating. It's like you're going to see this. I'm going to tell you about it. And you're going to watch me use this same technique I'm going to teach you to reframe my nerves into excitement. Check this out. All right, I'm about to go on stage. There are 7,000 people out there, and it's so exciting because what they don't know is they're about to learn the 5-second rule, and their lives will never be the same again. Now, I got to tell you, my heart is racing. My armpits are sweating. I have the exact same physiological feeling as when I'm afraid, but I'm not afraid. I'm excited. Excitement and fear is the exact same thing in your body. It's just what your brain calls it. Here's a trick that's proven by science that I use every time I speak. When I start to sweat, when I start to have butterflies, when I start to have my heart race, I say, I'm excited. I'm excited to get out there. I'm excited to talk to these people. I'm excited to share the 5-second rule. And what that does is it sends a message to my brain that tells my brain why my body's all agitated and excited. And that way, I don't feel afraid. Remember, excitement and fear, exact same thing in your body. The only difference is what your brain calls it. Go get them. Now, I want to give you one more example, just to make sure that you really get how you can use this. So a lot of you have written to me about your fear of flying, and I can really relate to that fear because I used to have the exact same fear. But I use this same strategy to conquer it. Here's how you're going to do it. So first things first, if you've got to do something that really makes you nervous or that you're afraid to do, before you're about to do it, come up with an anchor thought. What's an anchor thought? Well, an anchor thought is something that's going to anchor you so that you don't escalate any situation into a full-blown panic attack or into a situation where you screw things up. It's a way for you to anchor yourself so you maintain control over what you're thinking and how you behave. So here's an example with flying. It's important when you're creating an anchor thought to pick something that is in the proper context of what you're afraid to do. So for flying, pick an anchor thought that has to do with the trip that you're taking. So if I'm boarding a plane to fly back home to Michigan, an anchor thought might be a picture in my mind of my mom and I walking on the shores of Lake Michigan where I grew up. That's a thought that makes me happy, it makes me excited, and it's also related to the trip that I'm taking. If you have a conversation that you need to have with your boss, pick an anchor thought about how you feel after having that conversation. Maybe it's you picking up the phone and calling somebody that you love and saying, oh my gosh, it went so well. Or, you walking out of the meeting and feeling like, yeah, I survived that conversation. I feel pretty good about myself. So now that you have your anchor thought, you're ready to beat the fear. How you're going to do it is this. So let's go back to the example of the plane. I'm on the plane, I'm flying to Michigan. We hit turbulence. My body's going to start getting agitated, right? I'm starting to get nervous. My heart starts to race. One of two things can happen. I can't control how my body might feel, but I can always control what I'm thinking about, and I can always control how I act. And so can you. So when I'm on a plane and the turbulence hits, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, that's step one. And it's essential. And the reason why using the 5-second rule, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, is essential is because that is how you switch the gears in your mind, you awaken your prefrontal cortex, and you trigger your brain that you're now in control of your thoughts. You've interrupted the fear. You've settled your thoughts, and now your brain is ready for that anchor thought. So then what I do after I go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is I insert the anchor thought that I've already come up with before the flight. I start thinking about walking on the beach and being with my mom and my dad. And I start telling myself, I'm so excited to walk on the shores of Lake Michigan. I'm so excited to see my parents. Now, something remarkable is going to happen in your brain. Because you've interrupted the fear, and because you've used the 5-second rule to assert control and awaken your prefrontal cortex, and because you have an image that contextually makes sense to your brain because you're flying to Michigan, you know what your brain does? Your brain goes, huh, Mel's excited to go to Michigan because my body is in a state, remember the first fact? Fear and excitement, exact same thing. What's the difference between fear and excitement? What your brain is saying. Using the 5-second rule and an anchor thought, you can actually switch the gears in your mind and reframe the thoughts of fear into thoughts of excitement. And because you have a vision that makes sense based on what you're doing, your brain buys it. You just tricked your brain. Now, Dana used this technique. She says she's never been so calm when she's been flying. And Sarah used it too. Now, Sarah wrote to us, she was petrified of flying, but utilizing the 5-second rule and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 with an anchor thought, check out this photo of her on a helicopter tour in Hawaii. Not only was the tour amazing, but here's what's really amazing. If fear stops you, this will change your life. And for those of you that are afraid of public speaking, check out this photo of Carol. She also had a fear of public speaking. And by using this technique that I've just explained to you, 5-second rule, anchor thought, reframe your thoughts from fear to excitement, something incredible happened. She was able to beat her fear and give a speech to her nursing colleagues. And that was something that was a life goal and also something she checked off her bucket list. Fear is real. You can't control the feelings that are going to rise up in your body when you're on a plane or when you're talking to your boss or when you see somebody that's attractive and you really want to go over and talk to that person. But you can always control what you think, and you can always make a decision about the actions you're going to take. So the next time you feel afraid, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go to that anchor thought, tell yourself you're excited, and that, my friend, is the power of how you beat fear in 5 seconds flat. Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed that video, by God, please subscribe because I don't want you to miss a thing. Thank you so much for being here. We've got so much amazing stuff coming. Thank you so much for sending this stuff to your friends and your family. I love you. We create these videos for you, so make sure you subscribe. Mwah.